We cannot reward the aggressor. We cannot reward the terrorist. We cannot reward the country that has been violating all the very basics of the international law, because if they would have even parts of their appetites satisfied, they would grow in their ambition for further attacks.
Now, the path to peace in Ukraine cannot be decided without Ukraine. That's what the leaders of the UK, France, Italy, Germany, Poland, Finland and the European Commission wrote in a joint statement last night. President Donald Trump and President Vladimir Putin are expected to meet in person in Alaska next Friday to discuss bringing an end to the conflict. Now, President Zelensky has not been invited, although senior White House officials have been telling reporters that Trump is now considering including Zelensky. Ivanna Klympush is the former Vice Prime Minister of European and Euro-Atlantic integration for Ukraine, and she joins us now. Ivanna, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Alexis, for having me. Good afternoon.
How important would it be for President Zelensky to be present at this meeting on Friday?
Well, we've been really pushing forward that nothing about Ukraine can be decided without us being at the table. So I think it would be very important that Ukraine, moreover, and European partners are present at the table where the fate of the European security and basically global security would be decided. If we would consider that Russia is ready for some meaningful negotiations, even though I'm skeptical with regard to that.
Do you think that President Zelensky, with the aid of the European leaders who put out that joint statement, will have a stronger hand to play, whatever comes out of those negotiations on Friday? We heard from Donald Trump yesterday this proposal that there might be land swaps, as he put them. President Zelensky being quite firm that he's not about to reward Russia with any Ukrainian land. How do you see this negotiation going from Friday onwards with that support from the European leaders?
Well, I think first and foremost, we have to use this couple of days ahead of that meeting to ensure that the United States their position is aligned with the position of Ukraine and European partners, and that the United States, if Ukraine is not part of that conversation on Friday, is actually not pretending to be a kind of independent facilitator, but rather a representative of the Ukrainian and international law perspective with regard to how this war could be settled. At the same time, at this point, what we are seeing that after President Trump's ultimatums, basically he is right now following the suggestions from the Russian Federation for the meeting, and supposedly they are there are a lot of question marks what they are going to be discussing, but supposedly they are going to be addressing the issue of ceasefire, which meant to be unconditional, right? And tying it to some land concessions, which I think it's quite surrealistic to even imagine that. So I don't think that it's only President Zelensky, but I think it's the Ukrainian people that would never agree to the jure acceptance of Russian occupation of the Ukrainian lands. And I think also it would send a very wrong signal to many other parts of the world, and could actually heat up the tensions in other parts of the globe where nations would believe that, yes, by force they can redraw the borders, as Russia is doing.
Do you think that President Trump is to be trusted to negotiate purely on the interests of that ceasefire? There's plenty that's been written in the paper today and yesterday, in the Sunday Times and yesterday's Times, that part of these talks involve, for example, deals that can be done to take advantage of Russian oil, Russian gas. We saw not that long ago that minerals deal that the Trump administration did with Ukraine. Are you worried that perhaps part of these talks involve business deals essentially between the US and Russia?
I would assume that that is the desire to actually get it over with somehow with this war, irrespectively how, and then get into trade relationship, and that is potentially seen as beneficial for the United States and Russia, for sure for Russia, but not necessarily for the United States, because as we've learned, the cheap Russian energy resources are a real trap where Russia is trying to spread its influence inside the societies and inside the different countries, also trying to split the West right now. So yes, that probably could be the intention in the longer run, but I hope again that we will be, together with European partners, successful in delivering the message and having the American administration accepting the message and being part of the responsibility in this conversation that we cannot reward the aggressor, we cannot reward the terrorist, we cannot reward the country that has been violating all the very basics of the international law, because if they would have even parts of their appetites satisfied, they would grow in their ambition for further attacks. And once they would recuperate with their economy, which is in a pretty difficult position right now after the sanctions have been imposed, this 18 packages from the European Union, other sanctions from the UK, from Canada, from actually the United States as well, they would have to recuperate after that, and they would try to attack again, and not necessarily exclusively Ukraine. They would attack also other countries if they felt that their attacks can be rewarded, as there is a suspicion there might be such a desire on behalf of the American administration.
Okay. Ivanna Klympush, thank you so much for giving us your time.
Thank you.
Former Vice Prime Minister of European and Euro-Atlantic integration for Ukraine, speaking to us just then.
Пострел! Ну не насильно выше надо брать. Я же сказал, совсем чуть-чуть. Ну сейчас второй раз попал. Пострел! Охуеть! Опа! У него шуфляда сзади.